hitting .230. Taylor hits one well to left center field. That gets all the way to the wall. The runner will round third and head home. Welcome, everybody, to the Salt Lake City franchise here on MLB The Show 25. Salt Lake City is 6-22 here to start this season. We knew this was going to be a big rebuild from the beginning, and that's kind of what we wanted here when we started this series. Have some difficulty in going from the bottom to the top. So far, our pitching has been absolutely horrible. We are going to have to do some work when drafting, when getting prospects via trade. We're going to have to develop some of these guys that we have on our squad as well, including Julian Aguirre, who is 23 years old. But we do have some guys here that we are developing in the organization, including our #1 prospect in Johnny Hood. If you missed last episode, he put together a clinic of a debut here on the channel, and he pitched pretty well through 7 innings, not giving up any runs. He was fantastic. He looks like the real deal. Now, he was C potential. He is 22 years old. We don't necessarily have to move him up this year. We could give him the rest of this year to develop along with next year also. It depends on how we want to play it. But besides him, there aren't many people in this organization that we are really, vying for to get a spot, at least even for the September call-ups at our major league level. Phil Ball is an interesting candidate, but he's only 63 overall. I mean, this is kind of the peak of what you're going to get overall-wise in our organization at this point for prospects, that is. Another guy I could move up, Fernando Rosado, but he's 57 overall. He has an ETA of 2026. I'm just looking at those guys, or 2025, sorry. But, it's just one of those things. We're going to have to build up this entire organization, and we're going to do it through the draft. Speaking of draft, in our expansion draft, our #1 overall pick was Alek Thomas. We selected him because he has been kind of forgotten in that Arizona Diamondbacks organization, and I kind of see the potential in him. And so far, through the first month, he's hitting over 300, slugging at 419, OPS at 769, doing pretty well. So we will focus on him in this early going of this episode. In the storyline going into this game, he's hitting over 395 in the last 10 games. I really love this feature in MLB The Show this year. You can kind of see the storylines. You can see around the league. You can do league news. You can even look at your organization and look at prospects. It's kind of fun. I like that they added that into the game loading up. But Alek Thomas over the last 10 games is ripping the cover off of the ball. So we will get to focus on him today, and we will be at home for this game. Facing Cody Bradford and the Texas Rangers here at home. We'll see if we can put together some decent wins in this episode. Here is Thomas, though, a low pitch. This one in the zone a little early on that, and he will ground out to second base. I think what I want to accomplish here in year one is really figure out guys that are going to be a part of the roster going into season 2. Because it's really going to determine how we're going to develop certain players. Are we going to bring in veterans to get us through this first couple of years and focus on a couple of core young pieces? Or are we just going to go totally young? Just have one of the youngest teams in baseball, one of the lowest payrolls in baseball? I just don't know. But I know one thing we aren't going to do is we are not going to break the bank. We're not going to spend a ton of money. We're going to develop guys on low salaries and kind of build around some of these guys like Alek Thomas. He swings and misses at that one low for a swinging strike 3, and we end up losing that game 4-1 as we did not see much offense from the Gulls. Only 2 hits in that entire game. We end up getting into the next series as Alek Thomas looks to bounce back from that bad game versus the Rangers. Here he gets one up in the zone. This one will be a fly out to center field facing Joe Musgrove, and that one will be the first out of the game as he's in that leadoff spot. We fast forward here to the top of the 3rd inning. Now he's got a man in scoring position. We'll see if he can come through with the hits. He gets one over the middle of the plate. That one is smoked up the middle, right back at Musgrove through the infield, and it will score the runner from second. and Alek Thomas comes through with an RBI single. He won't get many opportunities probably for RBIs this season, especially hitting at that leadoff spot, because we cannot get on base at all so far in the first month and a half. Here's Alek up for his third AB of the game. This one will be ball 4 for his first walk as he comes up here in the top of the 7th here. 2 outs facing Yuki Matsui. And the pitch is on, and this one looked like it was actually over the plate, but it will be a called ball 4. So 2 walks for Alek Thomas, 1 for 2, as now we fast forward into the top of the 8th inning. That average still around 300. Let's see if he can get another hit, and that will probably put him over 300 average. This one inside, a little late on that one, and it's going to be just a fly out to shallow left center field. And once again, we actually go and get the win in this game, 7-0. A nice welcoming change here as we get the first game in that 3-game set on the road versus Joe Musgrove. So like I said, this series is going to be a lot of player development. We do have a couple of young catchers in Henry Davis and Daneurys De La Cruz. But what I'm going to be looking for here is to see, like I said, out of these young guys, who's going to stick around in season 2. We got to take a closer look at Ben Rice because he's hitting below 100. I think what I'm going to do is move him down to the minor leagues and let him get some ABs there, get his bat warmer. He is cold. And then we'll get some, opportunities for some of these other younger guys like Deneurys De La Cruz. Now, De La Cruz is 23 years old. I have a lot longer of a leash for guys that are young like this. And seeing that he, like I said, does have some good numbers in limited at-bats, I want to see what he's got. So we are going to play him all around. He is a catcher. He can also play first base and left field. So I'm going to determine what his primary position is probably going into next year if he ends up sticking around. But I'm going to play him at first base to replace Ben Rice and see if he can kind of hold up there. He's only 5'10", so I don't imagine first base being the long-term position for him, especially since first basemen usually have power bats and he doesn't have one of those. But I am willing to give him a chance in the lineup and to kind of show what he can do as a starter. So you can just see the league news here all around. Garrett Mitchell breaks a 2 for 23 slump. And then there's Ben Rice here at the bottom, snapping a hitless 0 for 16 streak. So kind of fitting that we benched him after he snapped a hitting streak. But I think what we're going to do is just move him down and see if he can get some ABs down at AAA. So let's focus on Daneurys De La Cruz as he gets his first AB here as a starting first baseman today. He will face German Marquez on the mound as we're still in Utah. So the elevation is still up. It's just like Coors Field. Maybe not as bad, but we still have some elevation, which means the ball is going to sail in this ballpark, which you'll see in this series. Here's De La Cruz, though. He gets one over the middle of the plate. He goes with it to right field. That one will be over the wall for a ground rule double. One thing I do have to do with this stadium, though, is raise the outfield walls. They're a little too low, so I will raise those. I don't know how they got so low, to be honest with you. So here's De La Cruz now up bottom 4 now. And nobody on. 1-1 pitch inside and somehow muscles it to right field. It gets past the right fielder. It looks like he will round second and go to third, but in this view, I just didn't know how to round second properly. And I believe I was hitting up on the D-pad or the stick, and for some reason he didn't advance. Maybe I did that wrong, but it will be a double for him, so 2 for 2. So German Marquez still on the mound here, and it's 2-1 here for the Rockies, and you're not going to see a ton of runs here for Salt Lake City, and that one will be just a pop fly back to the pitcher. As we move on to the bottom of the 8th inning here, De La Cruz looking for his third hit of the game today. He swings and misses at that one, and swings and misses again at one in the dirt. And he will get thrown out at first base. But a 2-hit game for Daneurys as he shows what he can do, and we'll see if he can keep that up. Like I said, he's hitting over, or I believe around 300 at this point. And we do get the loss here at home versus the Rockies. And throughout this series, we're going to develop a little bit of a rivalry more than likely with the Rockies. So that's just a team to keep your eye on and really to measure how we are developing in this series, because the Rockies are also rebuilding on their own. I do look up how Daneurys De La Cruz looks in real life, and I decide to kind of fix him up a little bit. He does wear, those tinted glasses that are kind of like that gold, yellow color, and then he has more of a goatee rather than a full beard. So here he is facing the Rockies again. I wanted to hit with them one more time to see what he's got. This one is a fly ball to first base for the first out of his game today. But hitting 310, hopefully he can keep it up. I doubt he's going to stay over 300 the whole year, but this one's crushed deep to left field. That is gone. 451 off of the bat of De La Cruz, his second home run of the season. 102 exit velo. That one was crushed. A bad pitch right there, and ends up being a homer here for De La Cruz. Take a look at this one. Jaden Hill makes a mistake, and that one is gone. And I like what I see so far from Daneurys De La Cruz. I don't know if he's much of a catcher because his arm isn't the strongest. But here he rips one up the middle. I do see him probably as a left fielder. That is one of his secondary positions. I could see him playing there. He does have decent speed. It's not great. So I think that he could probably be a left fielder in the future as his primary position. But we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. But pretty good outing here for Daneurys De La Cruz here in this episode. And he's already got himself here at the top of the Rookie of the Year list in the NL. It's very early, but still, that's a big feat in itself, even being mentioned there. So that's pretty awesome. But like I said, we'll see if he keeps it up. I doubt, like I said, he's going to stay over that 315 average mark that he was at when we started this episode. But pretty exciting stuff. So I decide to actually move him as the full-time left fielder going forward. And we will see what he's got. And I will actually try to switch Dane Myers here out of left field and see, if Daneurys can get more opportunities, especially versus left and right. So he'll be that full-time guy. But I might give him a chance to DH versus left for now, because I forgot he's actually the backup catcher. So I don't want to get him too tired. But I also want him to obviously get as much playing time as possible. So on to scouting here, as like I said, we're nearing the draft. It's going to be a big episode. I'm pretty sure that will be next episode. And I'm just looking at who we will select here at pick number 13. I think this is a tough position to really be in the draft, because you don't know who's going to fall, and you don't know what the guys are going to be behind you at pick 13. I think it's just one of the hardest positions to draft, because you really have to draft everybody ahead just to know if they fall, do you take them? So I decide to go out and scout kind of international pitchers to kind of get a wide range of pitchers to scout. Willie Colon has moved up our board pretty significantly. He was MLB ranked number 28. Our scouts have him at number 4. Now, I don't love him because his walks per 9 are kind of low, but we will have him on the list of guys to possibly draft. Dorian Oaks is more intriguing to me. He's 18 years old, 68 to 98 potential, only 25% scouting progress on him, but he has an opportunity to be pretty good. Our scouts have him at number 9. One guy I do find in discovery is Calvin Almquist. Almquist is 70 to 90 potential, 51 to 71 overall. I do really like him, and we'll just continue to scout him to see if he ends up being a good pick. I might save him for probably round 2, it looks like, or maybe round 3. Gregorio Cortez is a first baseman. We don't have many hitters here at the top of the draft that I think will fall to us. And he is a guy to keep your eye on. He is MLB ranked number 10, so it's very possible he could be gone by the time we pick. Esteban Calzado is another guy we found here at MLB ranked 17. And our scouts have him ranked at number 10, 70 to 98 potential. overall 58 to 86. So far, it's only 35%, but I do like what I see from him. All his attributes in the future look pretty elite. Another guy I like here, he's a 19-year-old high school player, which is very rare to see on MLB The Show here. Marcelo Carmona, he looks pretty good too. Juan Cabrera is a 4-year junior. 82 to 95 potential. His overall looks pretty good to start out, between 57 and 70. I do like to have guys that are like around at least 65 overall-ish in the first round. I don't usually like to go for guys that start out as lower overalls because I do want you to make an impact quicker rather than, 5 years down the road. Well, we are 7-33, and really there is no hope this season. Like, that is apparent if it's ever been. And as we get through kind of I would say this is like the tough part of the year because you already know that you're out of it at 7-33, but you also kind of still want to play some games and develop your guys. But we're not going to spend a ton of time in game here in season 1, probably not in season 2 either. It's really about, season 3 and beyond when we start to see our draft picks, when we start to see guys come along. But we do get out of this here late in this game as we have a 2-1 lead versus the Diamondbacks. Villalobos gets through the 8th inning. As we move on to the top of the 9th inning, Villalobos, we end up subbing Manny Rodriguez in out of the bullpen to close us out here. And he gives up a run in the top of the 9th inning. And this one is headed to extras. Diego Castilla comes in the 9th inning to spell Manny Rodriguez, and he does get us into the bottom of the 9th inning for an opportunity for Daneurys De La Cruz. That average is still up there at 328, and we'll see if he can come through with a walk-off. We already seen him hit one 450, a hanger over the middle of the plate. This one's deep to right field, but Corbin Carroll does run that one down. I thought that was gone when I saw it out of the pitcher's hands because I thought I was just going to hang and Daneurys would have crushed it, but it stays in the ballpark. And that ends up being probably our best chance to win this game because the Diamondbacks end up scoring 4 runs in the 10th inning as Ben Rice does get some playing time, but we do not come through. And we end up losing this game after having a good opportunity, like I said, to walk it off. But instead, it is a 6-3 loss versus the Diamondbacks, who could also probably be a rival in this series for us. So still moving around in this month, just playing certain scenarios, seeing what scenarios we get put in. Here is a scenario where Daniel Schneemann is at the plate. Schneemann is a good defensive shortstop, but offensively, he has been struggling, hitting .207, facing Camilo Duvall, bottom 8, inside pitch. That one gets all the way to the backstop, and it will advance the runners over into scoring position. So Schneemann has an opportunity in the bottom of the 9th. A base hit will score 2 with good speed on second. This one's low, and he will swing and miss. It's a drop third strike, and Schneemann almost beats that one out, but will get thrown out at first base. Brett Wisely comes in to pinch hit for Travis Jankowski, who hits in that 9th spot. Wisely hitting .268. We'll see what he can do here. His clutch rating is very, very high at 86. So that will help him in this situation. 2 outs here. 1-2 pitch up in the zone. It's a hanging slider, and Wisely does that with it. It's a fly ball to the catcher. As we move on to the bottom of the 9th inning, here is Weston Wilson in the game. He was one of our expansion picks coming over from the Philadelphia Phillies as he gets one over the middle, and he just hits a high fly ball to right field. Camping under it will be the right fielder, and now there's 2 outs. Dane Myers coming over from the Miami Marlins, trying to play hero in this one. He's hitting below 200, and he's also hitting in that 4 spot. That doesn't help the ball club at all, but he does hit one hard to the right side, and that one gets through the infield. A little Olay that time from the first baseman. And now runners in scoring position. Chris Taylor to the plate. He is 2 for 4 today. He's been hitting in that 5 spot pretty consistently, hitting .230. Taylor hits one well to left center field. That gets all the way to the wall. The runner will round third and head home, and the veteran captain, Chris Taylor, comes through. A big-time walk-off for the former LA Dodger. If we're not playing for anything, we're playing for pride here in season number 1, especially for a veteran just trying to help out the young players of the game. And how about Chris Taylor coming through with a 2 RBI double? And we end up getting a nice victory here in front of the hometown fans here in the bottom of the 9th. Waited until this long to put together a 2-run inning. Alek Thomas goes 3 for 5 in this game with a home run. Believe it or not, Alek Thomas is leading our team in home runs this year. So the draft is in 56 days, so we will try to get through these 56 days as fast as possible. We'll do a lot of scouting and really just figure out who, kind of fits best with what we want to build. And I got to be honest, it's just best player available pretty much in the draft because we just need everything. Our farm system is not great. Our MLB roster is not great. But at least we're showing some heart. We start to win some games at the end of the month of May. We end up going on a 3-game win streak, 2 in a row versus the Giants. We then beat Kansas City. That would be one of our only win streaks that we'll probably have this season, though. We end the month of May losing 2 of 3 from Miami. We end up losing at the top of the month of June to San Diego. And now we try to focus on some other young players in this organization. Henry Davis coming over from the Pittsburgh Pirates is an interesting player. I don't know if he is the future at catcher, but he's going to get every opportunity because he is in his mid-20s. And we don't have many other options. It's pretty much De La Cruz and Henry, as you can see right here in this game. And I think one thing that we're going to see a lot is, these guys are going to get opportunities. I'm not going to be afraid to play a player that's 60-something overall just because he's 60-something overall, because we have no direction. We need guys that could pop out of nowhere, and Henry Davis could be one of those guys. He's only hitting .215 this year, but facing German Marquez, this one's up in the zone. It's a bit early on the swing, but this one keeps carrying, and it is gone. Coors Field helps out our young catcher. It just keeps going. I felt like that was a weak hit off of the bat. I thought it was just a fly ball to left field, but it just keeps carrying. 366. How about that from Henry Davis? And it sneaks over the wall. Just look at it. It just keeps going. And it is a 5-2 lead here late in this ball game. Tyler Kinley out of the bullpen now. Uh-oh, another one. But this one hangs up in the air. Will just be a fly out to left field. But good to see Henry Davis show off a little bit of power with that swing. It's a 5-3 victory for the Gulls on the road at Coors. So we are now 18-56, about halfway through June. Like I said, these days are just going to fly by as we do continue to sim here. We actually start the month of June on like a 6-game losing streak before getting a win. But now the offense is really starting to dive down. I mean, nobody's hitting over 260 at this point except Alek Thomas. Weston Wilson is hanging around there at 258. Nobody's really getting on base to score runs. We're not really swiping bases or anything. And I think that at this point, we've just hit kind of a lull. So I decide to shake things up a little bit and execute our first trade of the season. I look at the Mariners, who are competing for a playoff spot. They are 39-34. They have one of the best young rotations in the league. One thing that they kind of lack is depth in the future. But one guy I have my eye on is Emerson Hancock. Emerson Hancock was one of the guys that was actually eligible for us to draft, but we ended up passing on him. But I kind of like what he is. He's 69 overall, 25 years old. He is just the odd man out in this 5-man monster rotation that Seattle has. And just looking at what we have to trade, we have Weston Wilson, who could provide some value. We do have Daniel Schneemann, who is a good defensive shortstop. And looking at what he is, I mean, he could be valuable, but I don't think he's that valuable at this point. he is kind of just a guy, and I don't know if I really see much value in trading him, because looking at the Mariners though and at their future, they have Dylan Moore, who's going to be a free agent in the offseason. Jorge Polanco is going to be a free agent in the offseason. They have to depend on this young middle infielder in Ryan Bliss, who's had some playing time and played quite well. And then Donovan Solano is also a free agent. So they're going to have some holes in their infield. One guy that we have to trade that could have some value, though, is Brett Beatty, because he's 25 years old. He's 68 overall, see potential. I mean, he is not bad ratings-wise, to be honest. And if I look at this organization, I think that he could fit in pretty well because he is under cost control. He makes the same amount of money as Emerson Hancock. They are pretty much the same overall, same age, same potential. A 1-for-1 trade. It just makes a lot of sense for both teams. Why not? We need to take risks, and we will make that as our first trade. I do make a really minor trade here going after Mike Antico from the Cardinals. I thought he was just a good big league bat to have, so I decide to trade two low-level prospects, Esteban Benitez, who is D potential, and then Jean Carlos Sio, who is C potential, but 20 years old, so he probably has some value. And the Cardinals quickly accept that one. Antico, like I said, had some MLB experience. I just liked it, and I just wanted to add some depth because we don't really have that right now. And I will play him just to see what he's got. He has D potential, yes, but it was just a minor deal. So now we decide to hop into Emerson Hancock's debut with the Salt Lake City Ball Club. Now, one thing that he does have is he does have a couple of pitches that are pretty high in break, like his four-seam fastball, like his sinker. And I'm going to really use those two pitches the most and see what he's got. You know, I think one thing I want to do is really find some pitchers that will be staples in the rotation as well. I don't think I have one for sure in our current rotation. Maybe Emerson Hancock will change that. So we will see what he can do here, as he will pitch in front of the hometown fans here in Salt Lake for his first start with us. So he faces the Red Sox. Here is David Hamilton starting it out here, and he hits one to the right side, and that one will be an error. And the first base runner of the game is on for a leadoff error. That will bring up the next batter, Rob Refsnyder, and he will walk. So now they have runners on first and second. One thing I actually liked about Emerson Hancock is that he does not walk many guys, but he already walked one in the first. Here is Devers. Ground ball to Chris Taylor. Over to Schneemann on to first, and not in time for a very slow Rafael Devers, by the way. Here is Tristan Casas hitting over 311 on the season. He hits one up the middle that gets past the glove of Chris Taylor. Here comes Alek Thomas coming up, throwing, and safe at third. Thomas doesn't have the greatest arm from center, and that is my one hiccup with him. I don't know if he's going to play center field full time in the future just because of that. I think he could have a potential in left field, but then we have Daneurys De La Cruz. What will we do with him? Maybe Daneurys De La Cruz ends up being our catcher over Henry Davis. Who knows? I think we just have so many questions to answer this year. So here is Mike Antico coming over from the Cardinals for his first AB with Salt Lake. And he goes to opposite field, and he will get a base hit. It's hard to be excited for a deep potential player, but he hit the ball pretty hard on that one. Base hit, I'll take it. Alek Thomas to the plate now, hitting now in that 2 spot, and he goes to center field, and that one will be a base hit for him. Alek Thomas leads us in average for guys that are eligible over 100 ABs. Here is Dane Myers to the plate with runners on the corners, and he comes through with a 1-out single, and that will be a 1-1 ball game for us here in the first inning as we eventually load it up. Here is De La Cruz. He hits one down the right field line. That one will be caught, but it will be enough to score the runner from third. And we now have a 2-1 lead for Hancock. So now back to the mound here, facing Ref Snyder, and he just puts a jolt into that pitch into left center field for 68. That's a no-doubt home run for Ref Snyder. And that one looked like it was going out of the zone. It seemed like a decent pitch, but Ref Snyder just gets all of it. So a 2-2 ball game as we head to the bottom of the third inning. Here is Alek Thomas again for his second hit of the evening. That one will get down the line, and it will be a leadoff double here as we look to add a run here and take the lead for Alek Thomas's 13th double on the year. Dane Myers does come up, and he does do his job as Alek Thomas advances to third and then scores on this ground ball to make it a 3-2 ball game. Hancock now facing Alex Bregman, the new Boston Red Sox, as he will hit a hard liner to Travis Jankowski in right field. Wilyer Abreu hits one deep to right center. That one does get down all the way to the wall here for Alek Thomas, and it will be a double. Now that brings in Rafala to the plate, and he hits one. It's just a flare out to center field, and that one will be a single. 3-3 here, as both teams have answered right back quickly when one team scores. As that brings up Masataka Yoshida as he hits one to second base, and that one will get us out of the fourth. Top five now facing the top of the lineup again. Here's David Hamilton. Travis Jankowski giving chase down the right field line, and he eventually runs it down. Jankowski is such a good defensive outfielder. I just wish his bat was just as good. Ref Snyder, who went solo shot earlier to left center field. That one will be a ground out. And that brings up Devers to the plate now in a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. He cannot keep up with that pitch, and it looks like that was gonna be the end of the day here for our new acquisition before the trade deadline even comes close. So we move on to the bottom of the sixth inning. Here is Mike Antico up again. He's 1 for 3 in this one. He hits one well down the right field line. Not much of an expectation for this young player, and now he gets a hold of one deep to right field, and that one is gone. 483 for his first career home run, Mike Antico. That is just an incredible swing on that pitch, and what an impression this kid is making on this organization right away. I had zero expectation for him. He was literally just a throw-in trade to just get a guy in this MLB room. And how about that? It propels us to an 8-4 victory as Emerson Hancock does get the no decision, but he pitches 5 innings. It was an okay start. But now we head to the draft. We are getting closer and closer. We are a few days away, so we decide to sim ahead. And look at this. The Diamondbacks end up acquiring Marcelo Mayer from the Red Sox for Justin Martinez. That trade makes pretty much no sense because remember, they have one of the top prospects in baseball right now in Jordan Lawler, who is one of the best middle infield prospects in the entire minor leagues. And they trade for Marcelo Mayer. And at that, they trade a 23-year-old closing pitcher who's in his mid-20s or in his mid-80s in overall. That's pretty crazy. But MLB The Show every year says they're going to fix the trade logic. It just never happens. But we do end up, seeing some good things in this episode, but I am just very, very excited to get into the draft. I did not want to show too much scouting in this episode because I want to focus on kind of the draftees next episode and talk about, what we looked for in scouting and kind of the top prospects in the draft. And we are 1 day away officially, so I am very, very excited for next episode as we find out who are going to be the future pieces of this series. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode. So down in the comment section below, hit subscribe, hit that like button. Next episode is the draft. So stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.